Okay, that's fine. Facebook, it says, it was deleted on Facebook. Because either way, I'm gonna start at 1 o'clock just because it's a lot. And the beautiful thing about it is that as long as they have registered, then they are able to um, go back and look at it and
Mhm.
at their own leisure and all that other amazing stuff. So, hey, that's fine. The mission gets done. Okay, there we go. All right, awesome. Okay. Thank you for staying later to help me with this. I appreciate it.
No problem, Miss Kia.
And so, of course, after I finish like the introduction and all of that, and I get into the body content about the two limiting beliefs, and you can go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
switch to that slide, and we just
Mm-hmm.
are going to, yeah, just make it do what it do, and get it done. I am so hungry, and I tell you, I have been on the run all morning, all day. Oh my goodness. I wonder, is there a way I can scroll through this without having to use? Okay. Hmm. And once we are done with this, you are welcome to hop off and get you some rest. And actually, I'll be out all next week anyway. I may leave like a couple things that I may need for you to do, but definitely you can use your extra hours for this week to cover for next week. But because I won't be necessarily like contacting you with anything that I really need you to do because I'm going to be cut off from the world. So, I may just like leave like a couple little things just so, you can. How many hours do you think you still have left or that you think that you're over now?
Since I am going to use another 2 hours for today, so for next week, I mean for this week, the total hours I've consumed is 12 hours.
Okay. So you'll have
Mm-hmm.
8 next week. Okay.
Yes, 8 next week.
All right. That's fine. Okay, cool. I'll leave like a couple things for you to do that's kind of independent that you can do. We'll work that out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have some people trickling in. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We will be getting started promptly at 1 o'clock because if you know me, you know I am a little talkative. And so we want to be able to get as much information as we can in a very little bit of time. So we want to be on time. And of course, the beautiful thing about this is that because you guys registered, you will be able to go back in, view this at your leisure. Anything you missed, um, it'll be at your disposal. So yes, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, everybody's day is going well. Mine has been a tornado, but that is typically what my days are like anyway. So here we are. All right, we are almost ready to go. Check my notes. Okay. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's masterclass, Radical Shifts, How to Shift Your Limiting Beliefs and Tap into Your Divine Purpose. So today we're going to explore how to lay the foundation for a changed life through examining and shifting our beliefs. And that's something that sounds really simple, but you will see that until we really examine how we interpret the world and internalize it, we are subject to kind of feeling stuck. And I know a lot of us know what it feels like to feel stuck, like to know something has to change, but not know where to start. And so we all have periods of times in life where we feel like we're kind of like stuck in ruts and like we're on these hamster wheels and we try to like get these habits started and nothing really sticks. And so today we're going to start briefly talking about the foundation of that. Now remember, this is a concept that is so layered that for the purpose of today's webinar and the hour that we have, we really are only able to touch like really an overview of some of the concepts. At the end of the webinar, you will have an opportunity to learn and figure out ways that you can partner with myself or even complete a class on your own that will really dive a little deeper into these concepts and give you some actionable plans, worksheets, journals, a whole bunch of really good stuff. So let's get started. For those of you who may know me, may not know, I am Kia Wilson. I am the owner of Phoenix Rising Counseling and Consulting. I am a licensed psychotherapist. My specialty is in relational trauma. We are located in Northern Virginia. I will say this. I'm also branching out into more of a relational trauma coaching space because I want to continue to build programs and things that can help people to kind of take what they've learned in therapy and really learn how to, apply it and continuously apply it in their life. Like we're tired, like I said in my advertisement, of chopping at the branches and all of that. We really want to get down to the root cause and figure out how to really overhaul and transform our life, something that is going to stick and make a change. So happiness, or what we consider contentment, is something that we don't always have to be on the run and chasing. It's attainable, but there are very actionable steps that we must take. And so there's work that we have to put in. And who better to help you than someone such as myself? I am diagnosed with complex PTSD, which is basically when someone has experienced multiple traumas throughout their lifeline, from childhood to adulthood, specifically relational traumas at that. I am also someone that is highly functioning, as they say, on the ASD spectrum, as well as ADHD. So I am neurospicy, trauma informed, and all of these great things. And so it is my journey that allows me, I feel like, to be able to have the lived experience and also the career expertise, because I've been doing this for almost 19 years, and also specializing in trauma, meaning that I have taken courses and things of that nature that allows me to have more knowledge than what is required in the field of trauma, specifically relational trauma. So, getting into those things, before we kind of dive into limiting beliefs and how to combat them, let's review the two different mindsets that can affect our mood and lives. A growth mindset is one that encourages self betterment and growth. Anyone with a growth mindset believes that they can do better and will do better after they find the tools necessary, of course, to make the changes in their lives. A limited or fixed mindset is quite the opposite. So, this is when a person believes that they can't do anything else to grow, i.e., make more money, have a different job, find a life partner. They believe that the life they have is all that they will ever have, and they kind of just get used to it. And so, when we think about these two mindsets, which one do you think is going to lead you to the life that you want, and which one would you rather embrace? Hopefully, you said the growth mindset, because the fixed or the limiting mindset sounds sad and very depressing. And ain't nobody got time for that. It's enough stuff going on out here in the world for us to be depressed about. So why not, as the great saying says, like, the things that we can change, giving us the courage to change them. And so here we are. All right. So, as you can guess, the fixed mindset is really filled with limiting beliefs, which are simply anything you believe to be true about yourself, the world, or life in general that limits your success. And so I want to park here for a second and say that oftentimes limiting beliefs, they do stem from childhood. This isn't necessarily to like blame mom and dad and all of that, but we're going to be real and honest about those things. What you are fed as a child, especially because when you think about neuroscience, it's not until you're 25 years old that your prefrontal cortex and those kind of reasoning centers fully come online in the brain. From that moment, from inception in your mom's womb until then, you have the amygdala. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that's responsible for our fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and the next F that they're going to add to it eventually. And so those things cause our amygdala to constantly kind of be in what we consider to be a trauma response. And it's not until we learn how to kind of use our prefrontal cortex and our emotional reasoning where we're able to kind of help the amygdala balance itself. And so that's why childhood trauma and childhood experiences are so, I would say, are just so impactful for us. And so consider this analogy. Let's say that you have a baby elephant that's chained to a fence, and the baby elephant tries to break free, but it is too small and weak. As the elephant grows up, his size and strength may increase, and so he can easily break away or break free from the fence, except he remembers as a baby elephant that he couldn't do it, so he settles for a life chained to the fence. Are there any ways that you may have settled in your own life? And sometimes limiting beliefs also develop from things that our parents said or by the ways that they have lived our own lives. I often tell our clients that we pick up messaging by implicit, which is kind of like observed things, and explicit things that are said. And so when we think about that, parents are our first teachers. And so it's easy to understand why we might have picked up their habits or mindset, even if we don't understand the meanings back then. And so my point of bringing this up is not necessarily to say that our parents are solely to blame for the reason why we're stuck. Like for a lot of our parents, they lived the best way they knew how to. And now you can do the same thing by working on your own self growth and determining what you want out of life. You don't have to settle for anything that does not bring you joy. So, in this quest for what we consider soulful shifts, I first kind of encourage you guys to think about what your dream life looks like. Visualize where you live, what you do every day, what kind of work you do, and what your home looks like, what kind of car you drive, all of that. And you can literally journal about each of these questions, or you can make a vision board about those with specific images. It's much easier to create a path to your goals if you identify those goals first. Don't forget that you are the creator of your dream life, and only you can make the changes necessary to find that joy. I often tell my clients that no one is going to come along and save you. Everything that you need to create what it is that you're looking for already lies inside of you, but we give so much of our power away to other people or other things that we find ourselves stuck like in quicksand. So, we have a lot to kind of get through in this short amount of time, so let's go ahead and get started. Step one, limiting beliefs as the golden path to your purpose. As I just mentioned, limiting beliefs are developed in early childhood, and it's usually about who you are and what you're capable of doing. The problem is that these beliefs are limiting, so they're currently stopping you from doing or having something that you truly desire or can really muddle your efforts to tap into your divine purpose. They are excuses that we've learned to accept about why we can't do or achieve something. And as you look on the slide, you'll see some examples of some limiting beliefs that we may have that we aren't even aware of that are limiting beliefs, but those things are really blocking us from being able to move forward and have a mindset of change and transformation. So if do you notice that as you like read these slide examples, a lot of these limiting beliefs can start with I can't. Whenever you start a sentence with I can't, already you're setting yourself up for failure. And I know it sounds very like self-help, self-empowerment, but it's the truth, to be honest. The words that you speak, your mind, and you are the first to hear. And you're setting yourself up for failure. So let's say that if you decide to try to accomplish any of those things that you saw previously listed, you'll always have that nagging voice in the back of your head feeding you garbage about all of the reasons why something can't happen. And this voice can also cause you to give up too soon or without getting all of the facts or putting forth a real strong effort. So instead, we want to turn those limiting beliefs around into positive affirmations that encourage you to try, even if you feel unprepared. Let's say if you want to earn a six-figure income, for instance, but you don't know how to do it. You'll find hundreds of people online or in groups who are willing to help you, but they won't know what you need unless you lay the proper foundation. I often refer to this old show that used to come on BET called Being Mary J. And so the main character, Gabrielle Union, used to use like post-its. And she would write affirmations and place them and stick them all around her home. And when I tell my clients to do this, they often say, Kier, like, I feel foolish or silly doing this. And I tell them that, listen, set the pattern and like do it, and the feelings will eventually catch up to you. Because remember, we're not speaking to that first level of consciousness, the one that holds the pain of failure or rejection or the trauma. We are speaking to the subconscious, which is more vulnerable. And trust me that if you repeat those affirmations enough, eventually your mind will believe them and the feelings will follow. So, with the internet, there is no excuse for not finding the information that you need to create an action list of what it takes to achieve your goal. However, you don't have to become a perpetual student or get stuck in like an analysis paralysis where you're so busy researching and never taking action. And for my fellow neurodivergent people, we know that sometimes we can become hyper focused on something, and we will literally research and research until we're exhausted. And then when it's time to do it, we then have like kind of that failure to start or failure to launch. And so sometimes it's best to kind of just make a short list and like just take action. So educate yourself first, of course, create a plan, and then do it, like Nike said. Now, limiting beliefs are not all of your fault. They're usually shaped by observing your family, society, your environment, and your own experiences that you had before the age of 10. According to psychology experts, beliefs in general aren't bad. They're developed as energy saving shortcuts that helped you make sense of the world when you were young. Because remember, prefrontal cortex doesn't fully come online until 25. And so we kind of have to use those things around us in order to make sense of the world. And that's where beliefs come in at. So that said, while you didn't create those beliefs, they are your responsibility to deal with once you become an adult. If you want to experience the up levels on your vision board, you have to learn how to create your life from intention, not pre programmed beliefs. Limiting beliefs can also show up in any areas of our lives. Anywhere you feel like you are not achieving what you want or can't seem to make forward progress probably stems from an underlying limiting belief. So, for many people, it may show up by fear of success or failure, fear of being seen, money, relationships. And that's not just for entrepreneurs, that's for anyone. Limiting beliefs also can be dangerous to you fulfilling what your life's purpose is because they stop you from taking action, from becoming who you are meant to be. Instead, these beliefs keep you down and kill your dreams for the future. However, if you want to step back into your purpose, you have to deal with that core limiting belief that's holding you back. As the late Louise Hay said, if you accept a limiting belief, then it will become a truth for you. But the good news is that limiting beliefs are super flexible. You can change them and move beyond them. So kind of think of them as keys to opening doors to unlimited opportunities. Just imagine if you could release any negativity that you have around money or shame or guilt or anxiety. Feel more confident in asking for what you want and going after what you want. Love yourself deeply and watch as the love flows into your relationships. Feel safe and excited about showing up and being seen. That and so much more is about what shifting your beliefs can do. So let's get started. Now we're on to step two. Notice and naming the beliefs that are squelching your soul. So you'll find kind of different schools of thought about how to best shift those limiting beliefs. But this model of change is the one that most people can kind of agree on. You have a belief that turns into a thought. The thought then turns into a behavior. The behavior turns into an action. And if you keep doing those actions, you keep getting those same results. And so, as you think about your limiting beliefs, let's say that, you know, you want to say, I can't create boundaries because I'll upset those that I care for and lose relationships. Change that up into a more positive thought like, I can honor myself by creating healthy boundaries, and those that love and respect me will not punish me for prioritizing my health and wellness. And keep repeating that positive thought, and you'll gain some confidence and motivation to do the difficult but necessary work to ensure you have quality and not quantity connections. So, here are a couple of exercises to kind of help you get started in identifying your specific limiting beliefs. I highly recommend that everyone get a journal or a notebook that you can jot down notes or like even aha moments that come to you. These exercises can be enlightening, and you'll want to place a note about your revelations to review at a later date. So, exercise one, thinking of a situation in life that you're not all the way satisfied with. Where are your results not in alignment with where you really want to be, or what you want to do, or what you want to have? What area or areas in your life do you feel stuck or stagnant? And where have you not been able to make progress despite your best efforts? So, for example, maybe you're not happy with the amount of money you make. Use the following fill in the blank statement. Quote, I can't make choices that honor myself because blank, 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 blank. And what reasons show up at the word because? That right there is your limiting belief or thought, and it is probably stopping you from moving forward. So, to continue this example, I can't prioritize myself because I'm afraid I'll be seen as selfish and people will get upset. That limiting belief then is, if I care for someone, then I must prove it to them through sacrifice and self abandonment. You can also take this a step further and identify where this belief came from. Ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this way or had this thought? This can provide valuable insight into the fact that the belief is not a universal truth, but a belief. And so I want you to like repeat this for every area of your life where you feel stuck or unsatisfied. Exercise two. If nothing comes up during the first exercise, arm yourself with your handy notebook. And as you move throughout your week, notice and write down. Notice the negative thoughts that pop up throughout the week as you live and as you work. At the end of the day, go back and ask yourself for each negative thought and ask yourself, is that a fact? If the answer is no, it's likely a limiting belief. Also, write down how these beliefs affect your mood and your motivation when they appear. Did you lose steam and want to take the afternoon off? Did it make you stress eat? If nothing else, noticing how these beliefs affect your actions and are holding you back can be a real wake up call. Also, we want to make sure that we're not judging ourselves for any of the beliefs or negative thoughts that we come up with. You're simply observing so that you can change them. We all have limiting beliefs. Even the most confident people can struggle with negative self talk at any time. And even after they've reached a certain level of success that most people on the outside would envy. Crushing these beliefs will allow you to do the good in the world. Like, think about creating a life that you don't need to run from, smoke from, drink from, have sex from, doom scroll on your phone or social media. One that doesn't impact your health and wellness negatively through burnout and resentment. I often tell my clients that when you find yourself feeling resentful, that is an area of your life where you need to have a firmer boundary. And so, what good could you do when you pour from your overflow? How could you really help others? Thinking back to like Thomas Edison. And so we know that he invented the light bulb and all of that. And so he and his associates worked on like 3,000 different theories for creating this type of light bulb, all in the course of 2 years. What if he was negative and gave up on this idea because it was too hard or he simply could not figure it out? What if they gave up after trying 2,998 times? We might not have lights in our homes, or our ancestors might have had to wait much longer for light bulbs to be invented. And so, whatever limiting beliefs you uncover, write them down in your journal, your notebook, or your phone app. You will need this list as you continue to go through your other exercises. All right, step 3, getting crystal clear about what your beliefs are. Once you have determined what your limiting beliefs are, you have to acknowledge that they are beliefs and not truths. And therefore, it is possible to shift and to change them. It doesn't happen overnight, but the first step is acknowledging the beliefs and trusting that with the other exercises that I'm going to share with you today, you can shift your thinking. So as your mind shifts, you'll notice that you'll start to feel more confident, which leads you to taking action. You will believe that your joy can grow, your relationships can improve, and you can be fully present in your life without using all of those things that we use to distract ourselves. And so these are any of our own desires can like be added to this list. It doesn't just have to be limited to sex or money, people, drugs. Everyone has different things that they use that will kind of help them to check out from the day-to-day struggle, but it prevents you from being fully present. And so make this list as personal as possible to you. Don't follow someone else's lead or allow your spouse or family to influence what you want in life. Make these exercises completely about you. And just a quick aside about that, when I work with my clients, I teach them about cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions are really just a fancy word for like habitual errors or patterns of thinking. And one of those cognitive distortions are, like black or white thinking, also like shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and things of that nature. And the reason why we highlight shoulda, coulda, wouldas is because I always encourage my clients to reflect on the origin of where those shoulda, coulda, wouldas come from. Is it from family beliefs, society, or either things that you see around you that is reinforcing a message that may not be in alignment for who you are? So those are things that, of course, I go deeper into as we do our one-on-one work together. But that is an example of how, family, society, external things can really be shaping our beliefs, and we hang on to them as if it is the gospel truth, when really, when we reflect, they aren't things that reflect our mindset and aren't in alignment for the life that we want to live. Okay. So when we go back and we look at our list of limiting belief, and for each negative belief, what I want you to do is write down the following. How does this limiting belief currently impact your life? Write down everything that comes to mind. For example, if we throw it back to that belief of, if I prioritize my needs and well-being, then I will upset others or lose relationships. Maybe it currently impacts your life in a few ways, like you're afraid to create boundaries because you don't want to lose people, and therefore you feel overwhelmed, resentful, and burnt out most of the time. Then I want you to take it a step further. How is feeling overwhelmed and burnt out most of the time impacting your life? Maybe it's costing you health, physical and mental, because you literally feel too overwhelmed to take care of you. Or maybe it's affecting your relationships because you're always canceling on your friends last minute or yelling at your kids or partner. Maybe you're afraid to say yes to new opportunities, even the ones you would love to say yes to, because you don't believe you'll have the energy to follow through. And it makes you feel like you're not growing in life and in your career. So, continuing to break down each of these negative beliefs until you can't think of anymore. Then, step two is thinking about the future. How will continuing to like walk this thing out and live out these negative beliefs affect your future? What will you lose out on by continuing to live this out? Think about the effects in 1 year, 3 to 5 years, 10 years. So, for example, if we continue to believe, if I make money, excuse me, I'll lose it. Over the next year, you won't hit your income goals and you won't be able to save for that dream vacation you want to take next year or insert whatever dream purchase you like to make. And if you continue to believe that over the next 3 to 5 years, the overwhelm and burnout might affect your health even more negatively. You'll miss out on multiple opportunities and you'll continue to feel stuck in your career path and unable to make changes. So, just an aside again, we often see how autoimmune diseases may disproportionately impact women of color. And one reason is that when we have so much cortisol, which is our stress hormone, coursing through our body, it like literally causes our body to start to attack itself. And so that's where autoimmune diseases and things of that nature come from. It lowers our immune response, and stress is a major cause of autoimmune disease, chronic stress. So when we think about even continuing these beliefs over 10 years, not only is your health impacted, but you can easily wind up stuck doing what you've always done. Not making a single penny more than you make right now, destroying your reputation in your field despite your hard work, feeling disenchanted, not just in your work, in your life, and just simply burning yourself out so bad that you can't work anymore. You have to go on disability, things of that nature. Like we see it happen more often than not. And so, even though those things are hypothetical, they are a real lived experience for a lot of people who are suffering from autoimmune disease. And literally, chronic stress, as they say, will kill you. So, when we think about these two exercises and how they can help you to truly see how imperative it is to your higher purpose, it shows you even more importantly how important it is to examine, to like take our thoughts captive, examine them, and shift them. So no matter what your limiting beliefs are, there will always be consequences that you're living with, whether you recognize it or not. Life would never be perfect, but working on changing those things can actually help your mental attitude, outlook, and even physical health. So once you've gotten clear on what your beliefs are and what they're costing you now and potentially in the future, it's time to start the shifting. You'll learn how to get started in this next step. Step four, rewriting our beliefs and call back the truth of who you are. Just so you know, when you do the exercises, you might feel some sadness or despair. Sometimes people feel like it's a punch in the gut when they really like have their limiting beliefs on paper and they see the harm that they've been doing to themselves. Like black and white, it doesn't lie when it's on paper. So as someone who used to let bad news drag her down, for her entire day, aka me, I'm here to say that it is acceptable to acknowledge those feelings, but remember that we're turning all of this around. Acknowledge the facts of the situation and then get excited that things can and will turn around for you if you put that work in. So, next, when we think about this, I want you to see it as like a wake up call and not spend too much time beating yourself up because we do enough of like criticizing ourselves and living in shame and guilt and all of that. Nah, that's enough. I want you to see this more as a shift, as a wake up call, a way of telling yourself that things must change or you'll be stuck in that same cycle for years to come. And if we really think about intergenerational trauma and generational patterns, I guarantee if you look back on your lineage, you'll see where members of your family have struggled with some of the same mindsets as well. And eventually, if you choose to become a parent, if you don't get this under control, you will pass those along to your children in the next generation. And again, that is not what we are here for. We're not only thinking about passing on generational wealth, we're thinking about passing on generational health as well. All right. So, this is not too much different than those people who try to get out of debt. First, you must acknowledge just how much in debt you are before you can peck at it. And so it's the same concept here. Knowing your limiting belief and then taking action to change them. So the first step to changing your limiting belief requires you to be willing to change them. Are you happy in your life right this second, or do you want to do something different? Are you willing to step outside your comfort zone to make changes, or are you content with the status quo? Get your mind wrapped around the idea of making changes and fill that thought with light and positivity. Remind yourself every day that you're willing to make these changes, and soon you won't need that reminder because it's a part of your psyche. The brain is a muscle. I'm telling you, what you repeat to it and what you like introduce into your thought life, it will manifest one way or the other. So, again, to get started, for each limiting belief, ask yourself this question: what if I'm wrong? We've gotten these beliefs so ingrained in our brains that it's easy to believe they're true, but what if they're not? Have you ever considered that the things that you are holding on so tight to as truth may be lies? And why are we so insistent to believe these negative thoughts when we haven't tried to prove if they're really true? And so, as I was speaking before about cognitive distortions, one way that I help my clients examine whether or not those beliefs are true, I tell them, hey, look for gray areas. If you're looking at things in two different extremes in black and white, there's a chance here that a cognitive distortion is at play. Life is really lived in the gray area, looking for objective evidence, not just the evidence that kind of proves what we believe to be true as correct, but factual things that cannot be disputed. And also seeing if there's a positive interpretation that you can take, or if there are other explanations for something as opposed to that limiting belief that you're holding on to. Do this as a part of like your meditation, or even as a part of like your journal entries if it's easier for you. And so when you really reflect on this question, you'll be surprised at the answers that you encounter. So, for example, if you have this belief that you're going to lose money as fast as you earn it, what if you're wrong? You might discover that you're an incredible saver, but simply because you have this limiting belief, it will never come true. Think of the other possibilities that can happen if you choose not to have this limiting belief and choose to fix your mind on that and hang on to that. It's such a simple question, and yet it can open your eyes to like a worldview of possibilities. If you believe you need to look a certain way before you can date, what if you're wrong? Whether you believe you're too tall, too short, too heavy, you will never know if your next partner is out there looking for everything that you got, unless you're out there and you getting into the dating world too. So your next step is to choose one limiting belief to focus on and ask yourself, am I willing to see this differently? If the answer is yes, and if you're here, hopefully it will be, then move on to the next step. If you feel some resistance to changing this belief, that's okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. It took us decades to formulate these habits in the way that we think. So it will take some time. You can continue to move on to the next step and you will still be able to see shifts over time. That said, if there's a limiting belief that you feel more willing to shift, you might want to start there. Once you see results with one thing, it'll be easier to work on the harder or the more deeply ingrained beliefs. So replace each limiting belief you have identified with a more empowering belief and write it down. So, for example, your limiting belief is if I let people see who I truly am, they'll reject me. The more empowering belief might look like it's safe to be who I truly am, no matter who's around. If you're having trouble coming up with the more empowering belief, think about one, what belief is more aligned with what you want to see? And two, what belief can you ease into that's just a step or two above your limiting belief? How do we eat the elephant? One bite at a time. Sorry, Peter. Don't come for me. It's just an analogy. I'm an animal lover. But yes, one little chunk, one little bite at a time. You don't have to take it on all at one time and then overload yourself, get frustrated, feel discouraged, and then just give up. Sometimes our subconscious won't get on board right away, and we have to kind of ease into the process, especially if you're someone that has had a history of trauma. I mean, we're not going to like BS you and say, hey, your lived experiences don't play a part in the way that you think. It does because we are primed to survive. So if you have had adverse lived experiences, your brain is going to be more apt to be in defense mode or to be pessimistic because it's kind of dress rehearsing you for tragedy. But no one has ever, I would say, dealt with tragedy better by dress rehearsing for it. Number one, you never know whether it's going to happen or not. So you may be dress rehearsing for something that never happens. And number two, it still is going to suck if it happens. It doesn't take the pain away. But what this process does is it gives you more of a reservoir to pull from so that you're not, again, pulling from the emptiness of despair, of negative thought patterns and beliefs and things of that nature. You have something in your that you can kind of pull from when life lifes, because it happens to the best of us. So, writing down these new beliefs can feel like a lot of work, but it's actually easier. It's the easiest part of the process, to be honest. These new beliefs you've written down are now your new mantras or affirmations. You can put them on your post-it notes and stick on your refrigerator, anywhere we yourself going more than once a day. It will deposit into your spirit. All right. So anytime that old thought pops up, repeat the affirmation or mantra in its place. Write your affirmations, mantras in your journal, post-it note, or wherever is accessible, and consider keeping them even in a notes section on your smartphone for easy reference. So when you're out of the office or you're somewhere where you may not have your notebook accessible, pull out your phone because we all have our cell phones with us all the time, and it could be right there ready to remind you of what it is that you're stepping into. So, over time, these new thoughts will create new neural pathways in your brain that fire up automatically, and eventually those old thoughts will disappear. You most likely will be surprised when one day you realize you haven't had those particular negative thoughts in a while. During this process, your core beliefs will become stronger and more natural over time, eliminating room for those old limiting beliefs. It will get easier and easier for you to accept those things as being the truth. But here's the deal though. You can't just say an affirmation over and over to make changes. Every time you read your affirmation, you'll also want to feel as if it's already real. So for each new belief, visualize what it will feel like for the new belief to be real for you. What does it feel like to say, okay, it's safe to be who I am no matter who's around? And what does that look like for you? And when you imagine it, imagine yourself in those safe, accepting, and healthy scenarios. Flooding yourself with positive feelings of pleasure as you do this visualization. When you start associating your new empowering beliefs with pleasure, you'll automatically feel more motivated to do whatever is needed to shift that limiting belief. I even suggest for clients to even connect with self. So, like, do hand over heart or even hand over your belly as you're repeating or visualizing those beliefs so that you can make that connection and it can kind of stick. So you also may want to visualize or journal on the following to get the creative juices flowing by asking yourself, how will I feel differently when this negative belief no longer exists? Visualization can be done anywhere except while driving now, and it doesn't take much time. However, experts suggest developing a visualization habit or ritual similar to meditation to reap the most benefits. This process works best if you have a quiet space and can close your eyes to envision yourself in this new belief. Picture yourself in the future living this ideal life that you have imagined, reaching your goals. Visualize yourself in your office, ready to conquer the day with confidence. Did you know that some famous people have actually used visualization techniques to attain success? Before he made it big, actor Jim Carrey imagined himself as a movie actor. He wrote himself a check for $10 million and dated it for 1994. Oddly enough, he earned $10 million for the film Dumb and Dumber in 1994. Arnold Schwarzenegger visualized his ideal body from before reaching his bodybuilding fame. Oprah Winfrey used affirmations and vision boards to pull herself up out of poverty. Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn visualized the ski run before the actual race, but also shifts her feet and weight during the process. She says she never forgets a course by using this technique. So it's proven to work. Shifting your limiting beliefs is an ongoing process. Personal development is something that never has an endpoint. I often tell people that healing is a spiral staircase. Just when you think that you've made it to the next stop, the world opens up more to you. Levels of consciousness open up more to you, and and you experience even higher ways of vibrating, believing, and new levels to attain and go to. So, each new level of success or going outside your comfort zone will bring up new beliefs for you to shift. But eventually, and now, you'll have the tools for changing those limiting beliefs on your own. And eventually, your new beliefs will feel 100% true to you. So, now we're going to step 5, where it says we embody our new beliefs for total transformation. While these new affirmations will take you far, the trick is that you also have to put that work in on changing your behavior. Affirmations and mantras are not magic. There is no magic fairy waiting to sprinkle and fill you with your every desire. Changing your beliefs, which in turn changes your life, requires action on your part. So you keep reciting those affirmations daily, but also start acting as if your new belief is true. For real change to occur, you have to believe 100% in your soul that that belief is true. However, it takes time to get to that place, i.e., steps 1 to 4 that we were previously talking about. So, reciting your affirmations along with acting the role will help to move that process along. So, continuing with the example of feeling safe of being who you are, you'll want to think about how that person would act in your next Zoom meeting or when meeting up with a colleague for coffee or hanging out with your friends. What would that person do in those settings? Would they kind of sit like a wallflower, simply following the conversation without offering much input? Would that person take the lead during the meeting and guide others through the agenda? Or would that person be willing to show their sense of humor or your personality without fear of judgment? Visualizing how that person would present themselves in this scenario and doing your best to emulate those behaviors. Now, you may feel hesitant or even feel some anxiety, especially if you're an introvert like myself, which I know is hard to believe, who wants to be more outgoing. But those first changes can be very small. Often starting with small changes and seeing that you didn't like F it up in the meeting or when you were going on that social outing will give you the confidence necessary to make bigger or different changes in your demeanor. You might even discover that small changes were easier to make than what you thought, which should give you the confidence going forward to make the other necessary changes that are needed. So, another example for you, let's say that if your new belief is that you are capable of managing larger sums of money and you want to attract financial security, you'll want to think about how a good money manager would act when you receive your next paycheck or next payment. What would that person do, say, feel, and then think, and then do that? Let me be clear. I'm not advocating that you change your personality. I will forever be an introvert. After I get off of this, I'll probably then have to go, well, probably not have time to, but later on this evening, go and cocoon and like recharge myself. Like who you are is who you are. And we always want to promote self love, self acceptance, right? But we want you to be the best version of yourself. And so, with this particular exercise, we're primarily focusing on adopting the behaviors that can help you turn a limiting belief into a positive one. Pretending to be someone that you're not won't win you any friends, opportunities, any of that. Because authenticity is too important in this day and age. You're not an actor on the stage who can kind of turn off this persona once they leave the theater. Just be yourself, but modify your behavior. And so once you start adopting the behavior of who you want to become, taking other actions in your life will also become easier. It's kind of like a snowball effect. Making changes to your behavior often leads to more confidence, which leads to a willingness or an excitement to make changes in your business, in your personal life, in your family, all of that, and even in your relationships. Your new confidence will also be evident to the people that's around you, which in general draws like minded people to you. And it makes space for people who share that same kind of mindset to come into your life and also build community. So let's say this. Okay, the bad news is if you avoid this action step because it's scary to do something different, you'll just continue to feed into those old limiting beliefs and nothing will ever change. And so, which scenario do you think you would prefer? You don't have to make this massive sweeping changes all at once to see like these soulful shifts over time. Very often, even just one small step in the right direction of the new, more empowering belief will help you solidify your new identity as the person that you want to be. So when you think of these changes as baby steps or stepping stones, you're not going to jump from A to Z in a single move. You need a roadmap to get there. And there's nothing wrong with taking multiple small baby steps to change your limiting belief. So long as the end result is a positive belief that gives you confidence, it doesn't matter how small of the steps that are that you have to take. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, I love this book. He describes how to create new habits by taking one teeny tiny step every single day. So, for instance, instead of trying to do 50 push ups, you try doing one or two each day for a week. Then on day 8, not only will you be used to doing your short set of push ups, but you'll be ready for 3 or 4. Not only are you getting yourself used to the idea of doing push ups every day, but you're slowly building yourself up to the goal of 50 without the pain and the muscle strain. By the time you reach that magical 50 number, you'll feel strange if you don't do your push-ups because it has become an integral part of your life. The same is true with reciting these affirmations and mantras and making small changes. Also, remember that with doing new actions, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to yield this particular result in order to make it count. Like if you dress for the role on your next Zoom call, consider it a win. Paying a single bill when like you would have put the bill off, or choosing to like not buy that thing you want and instead put that money away, even if it's $5, is a win. Like doing a very small thing will kind of get your brain addicted to that dopamine that's released when we accomplish goals. And your brain will continuously kind of be chasing that high, chasing that feeling. So make sure to acknowledge yourself when you've taken a new action. You can write it in a journal or decide to treat yourself to celebrate. No matter the size of the action, it's worth acknowledging. Okay. I'm telling you, the smallest things, big yourself up for it, congratulate yourself. And I'm telling you, it'll be easier to kind of continuously make those small little tiny changes. Now we're going to go to next step 6, the last step. Taking small actions to make major moves towards your purpose. The great news is that just by showing up for yourself every single day and taking some sort of action in the right direction is exactly what will move you forward in your purpose. Your purpose will inevitably become clearer as you build new habits and your old beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of all fall away. You'll be so focused on looking forward that you will literally won't realize when those limiting beliefs disappear. Most likely, you've always had an inkling that you're meant to do something different, something greater. Maybe you even know what that something is, but those beliefs have stopped you. Instead of having regrets, start the process of changing those beliefs and moving forward. If you commit to showing up every single day and taking one more empowered action, no matter how small, you'll find that your purpose feels more tangible and within reach. And if you're finding yourself taking daily action and it feels hard to you, take a cue from Atomic Habits. He recommends the 2-minute rule. I love this. Do the thing, whatever the action or the ideal or new empowered you would do or take, for 2 minutes. You can survive anything for 2 minutes, whether it's shooting off an email to someone that's intimidating, or peeking at like your bank statements and seeing how you can move some money around or start your savings, or even like going to a social event or engaging online for 2 minutes as your authentic self. And the odds are is that the first 2 minutes will break the ice and give you the momentum that you need to keep going. And this is applicable to whatever your goal is and whatever the limiting belief is that you're trying to turn around. Or if you've heard the term like eat the frog, I say eat the elephant, but eat the frog. When you think about eating the frog, it just simply means to do the hardest task first and get it out of the way. So once that's done, you'll feel relief and possibly accomplishment, which can put you in a good mood for the rest of the day. If you're a journal lover, consider journaling your feelings as you kind of embark on taking these changes. For some, it may seem like no big deal to take action and make changes, but for others, we can kind of get stopped in our tracks with fear. But rather than stay stuck, journal about your feelings, the fear, and all of that. Repeat your mantras and revisit the journal to write about the results of your action. When you see that the action was easier than you thought, or the reaction from others was pleasant, you'll find it easier to take additional actions. Or if you're a visual learner, you can also kind of track your actions on a calendar. Or if you prefer digital tools over paper and pen, you can do like what we call a mind mapping kind of thing, where you create a map of your goals along with the steps you need to take to make the goal a reality. Make it a habit to look at that mind map first thing every day, even before email and social media. And I know that that's hard, but visual learners need to see the evidence in order to realize just how much progress they've made. Or having your actions written down in one place is like a time saver. So over time, you'll find that those minor actions will add up. And of course, you may not see results on a daily basis, although some you might. But if you look back in 30 days or even 6 months, you will notice those shifts happening. Adopting some healthy lifestyle habits can also help you in creating these shifts, even if they're not a part of your goals. The mind is distracted because of chaos and stress. And if that's so, you'll have a difficult time partaking in any of these exercises. In fact, you may be lit, ready to kind of start the process, and then life will life and get in the way, and you may slack off or kind of forget the steps altogether. So, to prevent that from happening, I'm going to review some things that I know you've heard a million times, but it really is a game changer. One, get to bed earlier. At least try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I know for those of us who are parents, you're like, what is that? But I'm telling you, put the phone down, unplug from the electronics, all of that, eat more fruits and vegetables, move your body daily. Even if you don't go to the gym or whatever, just stretching. You can go on YouTube and find like 10 minutes where you can do like not just yoga stretching, but other stretching exercises that will help move your body. It's getting warmer, going outside, going for a quick walk while you take your dog walking, making that a little habit as well. Um, Also, like integrating these things will not only help you to live a healthier life, but it really sets you up to have a recipe for success. And so just remember to approach this process with an open mind, give yourself grace, acknowledge, the small steps that you're taking, a willingness to change, determination to complete the exercises, and the desire to create a roadmap to your future dreams. So, before you go, we're going to kind of talk about some ways where you can kind of really amp these things up. And so, we have a couple of different offers. The first offer that we have is that I have developed, I'll get to the one-on-one coaching offer, but I've developed a workbook that goes along with this. I think it's regularly priced $39.99. If you have registered for the webinar, then it is on sale for $19.99. And it's basically like a workbook that goes along with everything that we've talked about today. So as you replay this webinar and go through it, it has actionable steps and really images and things that you can do to help keep yourself accountable. It's really dope. Also, I'm having an offering, a one-on-one coaching offer for those who have signed up for the masterclass. And so you'll get what we call four 1 hour individual coaching sessions. And so instead of the regular price of $1,200 for that, you'll get that for $780, I think, and you'll use the link Soul40, and you'll be able to find that product and have a link to that product as well. Nina, can you go ahead and drop the link in the comments just for anyone who may want to copy and paste that? Finally, we have two options for those who are really ready to take it up a notch. We have what we call a mindset reset. And so we have it a do-it-yourself version where you get 5 blog posts, you get 2 self-paced module courses complete with action plans, accountability checklists, and unlimited access to the course modules. The course modules are not any of the information that we have received today. That is a completely separate course with completely, different information. And so that is done by yourself, self-paced, and it is for $299. And so now we have also the final offer is a done with you. So that includes everything that's in the do it yourself offer, but it also includes directly working with me. You will get 12 1 hour group coaching sessions a week. Group offerings will be offered once a month where you'll be able to ask questions. We can go through the course material, and I can give you additional expertise as not only someone who has done the work, but as someone who helps and continuously helps to heal people and help shift and change their life on a daily basis. You also get one monthly 15-minute emergency meeting with me. If life is life and if something comes up and you need to reach out to me, I will meet with you, kind of help you kick things back in gear. You also get the masterclass. And so that particular masterclass has 4 modules, and it comes complete with handouts, checklists, and all those things to keep you accountable and to accelerate your growth. You also get for free the workbook from the previous webinar. And so that's valued at $4,486, but it's only $2,999 for our masterclass participants. So then we have our top tier packaging and all of that other great stuff. And that's more or less when we kind of go through the courses together. All of your services will be individual. It would not be through a group. So you'll have me to yourself, and we'll go through all the modules, and we'll work this thing out and walk this thing out together. And that we are offering for $5,000. We do offer you to break up the payments, and all of that information can be found on the link on our website and also on the emails that you will receive if you have signed up. So in the interest of time, I know I said I wanted to do a Q&A, and I'm so sorry that I'm not going to be able to do that, but I'm a woman of my word. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will answer your questions because I like to honor what I said that I'm going to do, but I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. Finally, thank you guys so much for joining me. These are the different ways you can find me, my website, find me on Instagram and all these different places, email. This is the phone number to the agency. And again, I'm at your disposal. I look forward to working with you guys. And I really hope that you got something from this and you can really start to take the steps to live a life that you can be proud of. Thank you. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon.